Yeah, that's good. You got your tea ready? Cool. All right. Welcome to another episode of BD Radio, a Sunday night special.
We're both sitting here with our cups of tea.
And a little bit too close to the mic, so I'm going to slide that over. But all good. Now, just before we get in, a little disclaimer. If you do hear some shrieking and a pause, Mia is still awake, and she does like us to lie with her, but we're going to soldier on like champs. We have got a heap of questions to get through since our last episode. It's been a while, but we are back on the train. We've been super busy, as you can all imagine, with the reopening of the gym and everything, but we're here now. So let's get into it. First question. Oh, it's more of a topic actually. It's one of my favorites, and you speak quite passionately on it, so I'm gonna let you go. Thoughts on sushi?
Sushi. Yes, people do love sushi, and people do think it's healthy and not takeaway. I personally classify it as takeaway. Reason being, all the things in it that make it extremely delicious, which is why people like it, is probably not something that you eat, like not something that I'd eat regularly. So the rice, for example, it's not just rice in the sushi. You know, it contains sauces that make it saucy. And, you know, all the things inside.
Sauces that make it saucy.
Well, I don't know. I couldn't think of the word creamy.
Yeah, in the nutrition sense, I guess it makes it a lot more calorie dense than
absolutely.
if you were to make it at home.
Well, it's not just about the calories. I know you're about the calories, Ben, but I'm probably more about the ingredients and the calories, which most people know.
Most of the time, those two hold hands, though.
That is so not true.
Most of the time.
Okay.
Don't know.
I was about to say, we're on the first question and we're already at it. And same as what's inside the sushi, that makes a really big difference. So if you're getting like a tempura prawn, for example, compared to like a teriyaki chicken, there's going to be a bit of a difference there as well. So just, identifying, or if you're going the sashimi option, which is just, fish, raw fish.
Perfect.
Sure, that's great.
Yeah.
But actual sushi rolls, like, surprisingly contain, most of them, at least over 200 calories per roll, per hand roll.
Yeah.
I think, which people are surprised by.
Yeah. It's one of those ones where I think the context of nutrition always matters a lot. But when, if people are like, oh, I'm out and I would normally get KFC, is sushi a better option? And it's like, well, yeah, but if it's one of those things where you're having it for every day for lunch, like, I think we could probably do a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But if it's a treat, you'd be fine. The same as you would for most things.
Yeah, but most people don't view it like that. They view it as
it's more
like
of a
healthy meal.
Yeah, no. Definitely don't kid yourself.
Yeah.
All right. Next question.
Oh, you had nothing else to add there?
Nah, that's why I let you go.
Oh.
Yeah. Pretty happy to step back and let you shine.
Wow.
Next question. Vegan versus meat. So I'm just assuming this is just the vegan diet versus meat eating diet. And then in brackets, protein powders and in general. Start with in general. Because this is so broad and we could probably talk about this for 20 minutes.
My gosh,
so we'll try and keep it short and sharp, which is usually not my strongest.
Yeah, can we start with vegan meat options?
No, we'll finish with those because that's just going to get like I'll descend into a raving mess.
Okay. So general. Start with general then.
General.
Okay, off you go.
Okay, the most important thing to understand, I think, and if you're vegan or even vegetarian, this will probably bother you a little bit. If it's for ethical reasons, go right ahead. I respect it, 100%, no problem. Just make sure that you're taking the proper, just make sure you're researching the proper way to get the nutrients that you might be missing out from animal products. If you're doing it for health reasons, I'll have to disagree. Especially if you're doing it for weight loss reasons. This drives me nuts. Like where you've read on Instagram or someone's posted an article, this and that, I went veggie and lost 10 kilos. Like if it is just, there are so many other ways to do it that's not absolutely miserable. That is all I'll say. But health-wise, like, it's just, I think it's so much more efficient to include animal products in your diet to get the required nutrients. I feel like that's just a broad enough way of saying it.
Absolutely. I think it's hard for anyone to argue against that.
Yeah. I mean, we eat meat, obviously. I used to eat heaps of meat. I don't eat as much as I do now. And I feel roughly the same. Like, and it's so personal as well. Like, some people feel better when they don't, and we applaud people chasing what makes them feel good. So absolutely, we keep it rolling.
Yeah, we do.
The bit that annoys me, like, the argument for plant-based nutrition is always like, heart health, or when you compare to the typical Western diet, which always winds me up a little bit, because the typical Western diet is absolute trash.
Yeah.
So, and
it's not hard to improve on.
No. And when people have told me this in the gym, I'm like, well, yeah, but what about you compare it to my diet? This is, the people who usually choose it for health are usually, they're at a higher level anyway. Like, there's sort of a little bit more intuitive and educated on it. So yeah, it's comparing apples to oranges, really. But I could sort of keep going on that a little bit, but I think that's in a nutshell. Yeah.
Well, I absolutely agree with you in terms of for ethical reasons. I think it's amazing, but I think it's pretty hard to convince me that it's better for your health, knowing what we know about nutrition.
Just on the ethical reasons though, like, I think that's something that I've probably come a little bit more aware of in the last couple of years. And I would say that, listening to a couple of podcasts with vegan people on them, and they're talking about, like, all sorts of animal cruelty and stuff. Like, you sort of got a little bit cold-hearted if it doesn't kind of ruffle your feathers a little bit. Like, no one wants animals in pain and all that kind of stuff. And we've changed. We've always eaten high quality stuff, but I've certainly upped my game there in regards to, like, the amount of money that we spend on our meat products in particular, to make sure that it is ethically sourced, local, locally farmed, trying to support the best possible ingredients and raising of the animals.
And I was about to say, sometimes I find that people that think they do a certain diet for ethical reasons actually don't eat ethically. Like, for example, like, I know a lot of vegetarians that don't know much about the dairy industry, and things like that. Whereas vegan, I do find to be, like, if it is an ethical choice, it does make more sense to me logically. Oh yeah, absolutely. However, vegans tend to have a more highly processed diet. I'd take, because they can't have so much. They do have a lot of, like, processed carbohydrates, like things that for health I kind of steer away from. I
think, like, our answer to what's better kind of starts and stops with the why are you doing it. Yeah. So if you enjoy meat products and you're doing it for health, probably stop. Yeah. If you enjoy, if you're, like, strong on the ethics and all, like, just power on.
You can. You can shop ethically and be a meat eater.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, like, people, just like everything, like, research what you're doing. Like, there are ways to do it in a better way.
In particular, the protein powders.
Vegan versus
whey.
Again, personal preference. We use whey.
Don't get caught in the weeds. Just find one that you like and stick with it. It's much of a muchness. And, like, if you're really getting into the which one is going to be better, you're talking about the 1%, you're probably in fantastic shape health-wise anyway. So
yeah, and also with protein powders, there's a lot more probably to look out for rather than pea versus whey.
Like, there are supplements in general, isn't it?
There are a lot of nasties in there, again, that we kind of steer away from. A lot of numbers.
We used to have that raw one, remember?
You hated it.
Most feral thing I've ever eaten in my life.
Are you joking?
It was disgusting.
Wow.
good ingredients though, like, but whew, it was tough to drink.
Oh, I don't think so.
The one we've got now is good at Terra Madre in
that's
Northcote. It is good. It doesn't like the problem with protein powders, the flavoured ones are so sickeningly sweet.
Yeah, well, we don't really have flavoured protein anymore, do we?
When I see ones that are like Captain Crunch cereal flavour, I just like, like
birthday cake.
Oh,
says the boy who used to eat Quest birthday cake bars.
Yeah, I don't anymore.
You can't.
They're horrible. They're horrible for you as well. Anyone listening to this week's Quest bars, message me and stop, please. The fibre. I'll make all sorts of toilet jokes.
Okay, stop it.
They're terrible.
Moving on. Oh, should we quickly touch on the meat products?
Oh,
anything that advertises... Maybe you can go more than a word. So anything that advertises as meat, that isn't meat. What do you think about that?
Trash.
Wow.
Absolutely terrible.
Yeah, again,
terrible for
look
you.
at the ingredients, guys, and probably don't eat it.
Yeah,
if you want a sausage, have a sausage. If you don't want to eat meat, maybe just don't eat meat.
Yeah, if you're doing it for health-wise, just please make sure you're doing it properly. Like, it sort of doesn't make sense to me to kind of swear off meat, but then just stuff your face with fake sausages. Like, just like you can get the nutrients you need from the like vegan sources, vegetarian sources, and probably some supplements as well.
Quality supplements, yeah.
Like, all it is, it just restricts your kind of flexibility a little bit. Like, you'll be eating a lot of the same stuff. That's sort of what we've found, I think. It's quite repetitive, but like
some people that works for.
That actually probably wouldn't bother me that much. I don't mind eating the same thing over and over. But I also just like meat, so I won't be doing it. But anyway, yeah, let's move on. I think that kind of sums up our thoughts pretty well.
Okay.
Heart rate zones for training. Is it important?
I think we've touched on this one before, haven't we?
Well, we've been asked it again.
Okay.
Also, guys, if you've asked us, actually, you know what? This is on me, because I had a couple of questions in the gym this week about metabolism. It's on the episode, How to Maintain Your Results. We go deep into metabolism, how it's changing and all that sort of stuff. But we might actually do another one, because it was a good question on the specifics of eating more food without kind of gaining weight, which I think it's kind of illogical a little bit, but once you kind of break it down, and I didn't have time in the class to break it down properly, but it's a good podcast, I think. How to Maintain Results, episode something.
Well done.
Great marketing.
You did well to...
Great marketing.
Remember the name of it.
No, it's just because I was scrolling back. I'm like, where's this episode? But I found it. Anyway, heart rate zones for training, important or not important?
Okay, for who?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Depends on what you're doing.
Again, depends what you're doing.
In the context of our style of training.
Okay, well, you know what, guys? If you can't get to the gym 3 times a week, don't worry about your heart rate.
This person does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they training for something specific?
No, general health.
Just general health?
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry.
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of strength training in our gym. We do a lot of short and sharp, AMRAPs, EMOMs, like fast, hard conditioning, not overly, like long endurance style stuff. Like, if I was a triathlete, absolutely, I'd be keeping a check on my heart rate, because
keeping it up for extended periods of time.
It's a specific response that you're looking for, whereas we much prefer, and with our clientele as well, like, just tell us how hard you're working out of 10. And that gives us a pretty good idea, or we can give you a pretty good idea of you should be, like up around 8, 9 at this point, Like, that's a much easier way to get an understanding of how hard a person's trying.
Yeah. Like, obviously athletes, like when they're trying to,
yeah,
excel at what they do in life.
Yeah, 100%.
Really, really important for them. But no, for general health and well-being, you're absolutely fine. And also remembering that when you go to a gym, like, that's what you're paying for. That's all done for you. Yeah,
absolutely. Like, we take into account how hard you're working from week to week, and like program to kind of manage that. And you guys who have been training with us for a while now can kind of see that. Yesterday was really hard, today will just be a little bit less intense, and it flows throughout the week. And occasionally you might come to 2 tough ones in a row, but you've more than likely had a day or 2 off in between to recover. So all good.
Like people know, 4-minute AMRAP, I'm working really hard. I'm working at a 9.
Yeah, or actually, those of you, I'm sure in the car will nod your head to this, but like if it looks easy on the board, they're actually the hard ones. Oh yeah, cool, that doesn't look too bad. I'm like, oh right. But yeah, it's the more complex styles that kind of force you to slow down and concentrate a little bit. But yeah, heart rate zones in our specific case, don't worry about it. Max heart rates as well.
If you're training for a specific event or you're an athlete, worry about it.
Yeah, 100%. Just on max heart rate as well, like I got the question, I think it was like, my max heart rate's 173. Is that good or bad? Like there is no good or bad with max heart rate. All you need to know about it is as you get older, it gets lower. Resting heart rate's slightly different. There's like the general rule of thumb. And I say general because not everyone is in that general range. Like I was, let me just explain the rule. The general rule is that the lower your resting heart rate is, like the fitter and healthier you are. Like everyone knows the Lance Armstrong story was like 28 or whatever. But he was also juiced to the gills, so let's not talk about him as the shining example. Like we're not all on EPO like Tour de France cyclists. But I trained a guy whose resting heart rate was like 88.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was a triathlete. He was on the bike talking to me with his heart rate at 191, which is like astonishing. If my heart rate was at 191, I'd be like, call the paramedics.
You are joking.
I'm serious. He had the highest heart rate I've ever seen. I was in shock. And then I was like, is this actually right? And he had like the strap on, all of it, proper.
Wow.
He's like, yeah, I have a really high heart rate.
Wow,
like,
that's very high.
Just for context, if I'm about to blow a gasket, my heart rate barely gets into the 160s.
Yeah, but that's low.
Yeah, I know. But like, what's yours if you're going really hard on an air bike?
Oh, I'd be in the 170s at least.
Yeah. But 191 holding a conversation, that's crazy. That'd be like just ticking the legs over in warm-up sort of stuff.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's really weird though.
Yeah,
so definitely don't compare to that. I just thought it was interesting. For anyone listening to this who knows heart rates, you guys know that's crazy. All right, next question. Some nutrition ones, which is fun. Eggs. How many is too many per day?
There's been a lot of studies over the years, like eggs and cholesterol and that kind of thing.
Cholesterol is what everyone sort of goes to with eggs.
With eggs, isn't it?
Yeah.
I eat 3 eggs, for example. If I'm having eggs as my protein source, I'd have 3 for my meal. Ben would have at least 5.
Yeah. It's sort of one of those ones where it's like...
And what else do you eat in your entire day?
I think a lot of these questions need to also take into account like total energy intake as well, where it's like when total intake is in check, this amount's okay, but you'd be trying pretty hard to get to a level of eggs where it'd start to be negligent and kind of dangerous on your health. So for all of our clients listening to this, no such thing. Eat as many as you want.
Eggs are fine.
Unless you're like, I have 5 eggs for breakfast, lunch and dinner, and I'm like... Okay, might be time to vary it, but like that's sort of where we'd have to get to. Recommended daily intake on packaging. What does it mean? Why is it important? What does it do? So this would be your RDI on the food packets on the back, on your nutritional information when it has like the, per 100 grams, per serve, all that jazz. What do you reckon, Dan? RDI?
Processed foods?
No, what does it mean? Well, it means recommended daily intake.
Of processed foods?
Why is it important? No, just of anything on a packet.
Oh, well, they've just worked out roughly what your nutrient needs are. Like, again, I don't think anyone... we don't... If you're at a point where you're eating a diet that is reasonably full of whole foods...
Yep.
This is irrelevant.
Yeah.
To me, if you need to look at a packet to figure out where you are nutritionally, that's alarm bells for me.
Well, it's also like this where it says recommended a daily intake, and I just think, for who? You know, like it's
based on...
the government has decided that
Yeah.
a healthy male needs 2,000 calories and this amount of protein, and it's like there's a difference between surviving and thriving. Like 2,000 calories for a grown male is really low.
Yeah, it is.
Especially our clients who are active and you know, like training and wanting to see some kind of positive response from training.
Yeah.
It's really low.
Also, like BMI is not a very good, like it would be based on that as well. Like, so it'd be based on an average of a lot of different stats. But look at BMI, for example. Like, we know as adults that is not a good measure.
And if I went to Google and I typed in like how much protein does a healthy male need in Australia, it would say something, I'm pretty sure, like, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure it's 0.8 grams per pound of body weight.
Really?
I would die. Like, and you know, so that's the amount that they have decided is a minimum to live. But there's a difference between a minimum to live and then trying to, you know, account for recovery from training and feeling good and all that sort of stuff. Like, you need way more than that. So with the recommended daily intake, I would say you take no notice of it.
Yeah, I
not important at all. No. And I probably should have said that at the start, but it doesn't matter. We've got there now. Yeah. Not important. Don't worry about it. Yep. Sweet potatoes versus white potatoes. Is one more of a carb than the other?
This is great. Potato, patata. I think that's a good way of explaining it.
They're both carbs. They're both equally carby, because it's like asking if one's more of a dollar than the other dollar. It's like they're both a dollar.
What do you like more?
Pretty much.
Vitamin A, actually, is the only...
That's the only difference between
difference.
The two.
Yeah. So sweet potato is really high.
Yeah. Apart from that, they're pretty much equal across the board. Like, it's, you know, when in doubt, vary them. Just have a little bit of both.
Yeah. People are like, oh no, white potato.
Yeah. Well, we used to be like that.
Yeah, I didn't used to eat much white potato at all. But I wasn't...
didn't eat pasta for years. I just wasted like so much time. I could have been enjoying it, you know, just from stuff that I used to think was right. Weird.
You're an odd potato.
Bread? We didn't eat bread for a while.
I didn't eat bread for years.
Yeah. And how much better is our life? That is nice bread. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, white potato. And I think because white potato is used more in like, you know, I guess like unhealthier options, you know, like French fries and all that sort of stuff. Whereas sweet potatoes kind of marketed as the healthy chips, you know, like that sort of thing which can shape your idea of what's right, what's wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the potatoes you need to worry about, guys.
Yeah, if you really want to get into the nitty gritty, what's slightly healthier, sweet potato, but not enough where I would choose it over white potato. If I wanted white potato,
I'd eat white potato.
We had white potato tonight.
We did. It was delicious.
Yeah, it was good. Next question and final question: whole grain versus white bread. For bread, rice, pasta, etc. Okay, well, let's start with bread because I think that's the main one.
Well, it's just the same information, really.
Yeah, true, but I think when people think whole grain versus white, they think bread. But well, it is the same, but we'll talk in the context of bread at the start.
Yeah. Generally, the lighter a food, the whiter a food, the less nutritional value there will be in it.
Yeah.
That's a general rule.
I was going to say we just spent the last 2 minutes talking about potatoes and how it's how it's close, but yeah, generally. Yep. You saying that white chocolate is worse for you than white chocolate? I'm taking that and run with it.
Well, yes, there you go. White chocolate, dark chocolate. Very big difference there, isn't there?
Yeah, true.
But again, like, you can't, like, if you're comparing a white quality sourdough to a white Wonder White, big difference there.
Yeah, ingredients matters.
Yeah. What do you like?
Depends how
we
often
always
you
go
have
quality.
It. Yeah. If you have toast every morning and you've got tip top white bread,
oh my gosh,
probably swap it out. If health is something that's important to you, then we swap it out. But if you just, just every fortnight, I just love a toasted sandwich.
Have your toasty.
And you decide to have Tip Top and cheese, whatever. Just enjoy your toasty.
Enjoy your toasty.
What you do all the time matters more than what you do a couple of times a fortnight, a month, whatever it is. Which is important to note because we're heading into Christmas party season, and a lot of people are like, what do I do? Do I have a good time? Do I pull back? Like, it's 1 month of the year where you might be a little bit more social than normal. Just trust your normal routine.
1 month is a long time, Ben.
No, I'm not saying every night, but you might be, out maybe 3 times more than you would normally be. I think it's fine.
Okay, wow. I feel like okay.
That
didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. Yeah, well, you need to plan accordingly.
Well, yeah. Okay, so
you just said
know
basically let the month go.
No, I did not say that. Anyone who heard that, please message me tomorrow. But it's like, what I'm saying is, if you are confident in your normal routine, it's not going to throw you off too much. And if your normal routine holds you in good stead, then you shall be fine. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, Sir Benjamin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because I said shall, now I'm sir.
Yes.
I understand it's a little bit late, but you don't need to get snarky. Anything else you want to touch on for the crew?
Well, are you going to let me touch on Christmas?
Oh, yeah. All right, fine.
So, yeah, plan for your events. Know what's coming up. Don't have the mentality, oh, it's Christmas, and just let everything go. Have your breakfast, train when you normally train.
Give me an example of how you say plan for the event, because I think a lot of people just go like plan what, like plan how.
Plan your meals around it. So if you do want to have a few drinks on a Friday night, maybe I'm not having my afternoon snack on the Friday before Friday night drinks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like if you normally have a takeaway with the family on a Friday night, it's like a pizza night at home, but you're going to wherever and it's going to be Parma and chips or whatever. It's like maybe you would have, meat and veg on Friday night and you just swap around. That's sort of what we mean by planning there. All good. Yeah,
advice. just don't let it blow out. Like, still enjoy it. Like, there's no reason why you can't. Like, and when you are out, like, there are better options. Don't just go, I'm out, I'll just eat 20 party pies.
Yeah.
It's like, what else is actually available?
Yeah. I think you'd be surprised at how little you miss, like, what you think you might enjoy. Have I just taught? Does that make any sense?
I know what you mean. I'm not sure our listeners do.
What I'm saying is, it's like, if I'm out and I don't, let's say, you know what, I'm going to botch this, but you know what, I want to talk about it another time, because I feel like it's a different discussion, because we get a lot of feedback from people in our nutrition program on how little they miss the things they thought they would once they kind of prove to themselves that they don't actually need it as much as they thought.
And
that's
why?
Sort of what I'm getting at.
Yeah. You know why, though? It's the confidence in yourself, and actually, because I think most people, it's the pressure when they're out of what other people say, think. It's, why aren't you drinking? Why aren't you eating that? Why aren't you? Whereas when you're confident in what you're doing, you don't actually care.
Well, it's also like when you get in the results that you've set out to get and you have trust in the process, it's like, I'm feeling good. Why would I stuff that up?
Yeah.
So there's that too. Not that you can stuff it for long term, but it's like, why would I take a step back when I'm really enjoying moving forwards?
Yeah. And it's like us and takeaway. Like, we had takeaway on Friday night.
Oh, yeah.
And it was
street pho.
Yeah, it was nice. Vietnamese. It was all right. It was nice. Did I enjoy it?
Sorry, street pho, if you're listening.
No. Did I enjoy it as much as a meal we'd cook?
No. But we were tired.
And it cost me 4 times as much.
Oh, yeah. Great discussion. The cost of healthy eating.
Oh,
we're going to talk about that one.
Next one.
Because that was getting me all hot under the collar to an audience of absolutely no one the other day. But that's worth
that is a really good
talking
one.
about too, because if I hear one more word about how much I spend on roast pork, I'm going to bust. But yeah, anyway, that's half I gone. Look at that. It's bedtime in our house, 8:15. Look forward to seeing you all in the gym this week. Or if you don't train with us and you listen, look forward to spiritually feeling your train this week, getting out in the gym, getting after it. That sort of sound a bit weird, but whatever. Have a good week, everyone. We look forward to probably getting back to some more episodes soon. I'm making a note right now, the cost of healthy eating.
Okay.
All right. Have a good night.
Bye.
/day, whenever you're listening. Bye.